Welcome back. If you've got this far in this series, well done. I hope you've at least found some things useful and interesting. In this, the last and relatively short session, I just want to talk about what you should do, what action you should take as next steps in terms of pulling things together into having a plan which I think will help deliver you ongoing marketing success, because getting your marketing done more systematically is one of the best things you can do in these hard and difficult times. Let's revisit just a couple of wee things. Firstly, I want to remind you what I've said all through these sessions, and that is that good marketing doesn't have to be expensive. I love this little shot of a ballet dress on a lamppost, a poster with all the little numbers that you collect to ring, just free it out as a ballet dress. And all of a sudden, if you're walking along on that street, you take notice because it makes you smile. You think, ha ha, he or she has made their poster like a ballet dress, what they're advertising. And that's the first lesson of advertising. It should stand out, it should be noticeable, it should be easy to understand and read. You can see that in this one it's focused on only one or two messages. It's in a location where potential customers are likely to view or read it, hopefully. And if it's clever, it makes people smile or stop or think, and is relevant and encourages action. You can see in this one my lesson about making sure you say, do it now before you miss your chances. It's got limited enrollment on it. Call now. It's, again, terribly simple, but possibly effective little line. The other thing that I haven't done in all of this is said much that's directly about business to business or being a distributor or small businesses that are selling directly to other business people. I'm not going to read out these 11 sort of things, but they're there for those of you who are in that kind of business and want to look them up in the text document. The two things I would say to business firms in the small business and medium business area is that a quick pitch is absolutely vital. So if you didn't do that exercise on the quick pitch, go back and do it. Practice as much as you can and try it out, and even on less likely prospects. The other thing that I'd say that I find that some business to businesses don't really think about is you need to think not only about your customer, your direct Maria or Marcus, the person that you're doing, but you also need to have a persona of their ones, the people, the end users that they are selling to. If you can help them imagine their Maria, you'll have a much more successful conversation with them and be much more helpful. So think not only about them, and if you're interested, you can have another look at my other sort of little tips, which are pretty basic, but may remind you of something. So I want to start thinking about a marketing plan, and I want to keep it reasonably simple for you, but you do need a bit of detail. And I want you to start by not thinking about each activity that you've already got in mind. We've probably dreamed up some, you've got some ideas as we've gone through our sessions, but I want you to start by revisiting some of the things we've got talking about and getting them down on paper, putting a box or a page down on nine areas, and I'll go through those. So the first thing I want you to do is write down whatever you thought about when we were talking about the basics of business. Is there anything you need to do before you do lots of marketing to make sure the quality and everything else is jigged to the right standard? So anything you've got to do there, that comes down first. Then think about writing down all the sort of things, your description of your Maria, your understanding about your customers, what they're like. So writing down something, how would I describe my current customers? Then there's a box on something I will admit I haven't really talked about enough, and that is how we identify and describe our new customers. But I want you to take some guesses and put some thoughts down on who you would like that you haven't got as a customer already, and just put some descriptors down about them, what they might want, a bit like you've done for your Maria already. And then going back to all that stuff we said about value, you know, the quality, price, the service, that mushy idea of value. Think about your own business and write a little box or something about what value can I offer to current and new customers. What is it that I can give them that's, you know, that's I want to get across, that's important to them. Then that differentiation exercise, go back to that. What is unique about your business? No matter how small, what is that differentiation point? So there's another little, you know, page or something on that, or diagram on it, or whatever. From those things, revisit whatever you're thinking about. What's the key selling points that I want to get across? What's that thing that I want to say that is about value and differentiation? You don't have to get that exactly right on that little page or whatever about the key selling messages, but what's the idea? What's the feeling, the emotion, the thing I need them to get out of that? Then we can get down to actually activities. So the red boxes stuff, the activities to build word of mouth and networks. So we've gone through a little session on that. What can I do to get my word of mouth up? What can I do to get my customers talking? What networks do I need to get into? Do I need to go and talk to my rivals? Just, you know, some things that you could do to improve word of mouth about your business and networks. So rethinking that session. Then, okay, so what are those 3 hits activities? You did that exercise, I hope, on thinking about awareness, interest building, conversion. What are some activities that you can do in the relatively near future that you can put down under those listings? Okay, some of the things that you've brainstormed on that. And then finally, thinking about new things you can do, better things, try and get some of the bigger picture things that we talked about in that activities and that 3 hits and some of the other parts where you have longer term targeted promotions and services, changes that you might want to make over the longer term to hit your customers. The point of doing it this way is I want you, as you write down those things in those 3 boxes, how you build word of mouth, short-term stuff, longer, bigger stuff, I want it all to be based on the brown and mauve boxes above them to make sure that they're all aligned to your key selling messages and their understanding of your current customers. So it's a process of making you think through the background before you get down to specific activities. So to create these boxes, as I said, I know there are plenty of templates about marketing planning out there. By all means, use those if you're happy with them. But I suggest that you just think about a method that you like to think and brainstorm in, be it mind mapping, it might be a piece of project management software, a spreadsheet, or a big piece of paper, and just fill in some ideas, activities for each of those boxes that I've talked about. You know, if you've got the basics very covered, there may be nothing in that box, but try and fill them in for each box I've talked about. Most of these we've covered in the previous discussions, so review them again, review your notes and ideas, and that'll help you fill in those boxes. The next step is, once you've got your diagram or your spreadsheet or whatever with those boxes in, you need to think about timetabling and resource allocations. Be realistic. What's a good timetabling for this? And what's needed to happen? Staffing, your time, what experts' advice or whatever else do you need? And especially around the red boxes. So start thinking about, this is what I should do, this is an activity, who will I need, how long will it take, how much money will it take? Just get some notes. This stage, you're a small and medium enterprise, you can be flexible and you don't have to be absolutely exact. You can and should refine things as you go, but try and get at least some basic ideas on it first. As you encounter difficulties and things may lapse a bit, but try and get it down, try and give yourself some deadlines. Right, just a little example of what I mean by timetabling and resource allocation and things. Imagine you're running a bright new hair salon somewhere, and you've managed to hire some really creative staff, but as you go through that 3 hits activity, and you're thinking about awareness, you realise that not enough people know about the skills of your staff and why they're better than other places. So you dream up something. You dream up an activity under the awareness 3 hits sort of thing. And maybe it's an Instagram campaign to demo your capabilities. Maybe you're going to do a video showing, some of your customers transformed from dull and ordinary to brilliant, and or whatever. And you're going to get out there and show people that you can really do something different. You've got an example to give them. So you decided to do that. So then you have to think, okay, if that's the activity, specific activity, what are the actions we need to do? And obviously one of the first things you should do is okay, we're going to do a video. We need to do a more professional one probably, because we really want to show the style well. What does it cost to have a videographer? Always get your costs before you do too much, because you might be able to afford it and you're wasting your time planning something you ultimately don't do. You might have to decide on the range of styles to show for Maria. And if you're doing marketing where you're showing a range of anything, any kind of variance to the same person, the same Maria as it were, it's often good to show something that's a little bit more aspirational and out there as a hook, and something that's more, what you'd want every day, as it were. So think of the range that would suit your Maria in this case. And then you've got to also, going back to that, you're going to do this Instagram, you've got to have a little bit of a plan about how we're going to promote it, how we're going to send emails out to all of our current customers, what we're going to put on the sign, how we're going to advertise it or whatever, so that people actually know you're doing this video and can find it. Then you've got to think about, well, what resources do I need to make this happen? So obviously models. You've got to have some sorts of either models or good customers who you want to show transformed or whatever. Do I need a visual consultant, someone, they're good at photography and videography? Who is it? Who do I find them? How do I assess them? Simple things like, are the right staff going to be on hand? You don't want your junior hairdresser doing this. Okay, so then you get down to implementation. Who's responsible for it? What is the detailed timetable? We're going to do this. Who's going to make sure the salon is clean before we video? All that sort of thing. And then getting down to choosing a day you're going to create the content and the photos or whatever you're going to do. So just sort of step by step, once you've got an activity under that one of those red boxes, think about the actions, the resources, and the implementation necessities, yeah? Okay, so what happens now, of course, is that people often want to think about what's the specific content of this? Okay, I'm going to make a video. What words should be said? What exact pictures should be used? I'm going to do a marketing event. What posters should I put up? And, I'm going to do a brochure. What should the headlines be? Now, there's some good stuff out there about, and, if you start searching the internet about some of those specifics, how you design a brochure and, what the layout, what are better layouts versus other layouts, or whatever. And I could spend a long time talking about that, but you've probably heard enough from me in general already. What I'm trying to get across to you is that there's a path to create specific content so that you can develop your own creativity. And that path, again, starts with starts first of all with thinking, what is the purpose of you doing? What's behind making that brochure or having that marketing event or whatever? Are you trying to completely reposition how people think about your business and your brand? Or is it just a simple promo? So what's the purpose? Because that should, that affects budget and style and everything else. Then all that stuff that we've talked about before, think about your Maria and her persona, think about your value proposition, think about what your brand ID is, think about those secondary messages we talked about, those proofs of value. What are they? Think about, have we done something before that we can reuse or adapt, or is someone in Uzbekistan done something very similar that I'd like to borrow? Think about those locations and the kind of media that would work for your Maria, and therefore, does your activity fit with the media that she'd be in, the locations that she'd see it in? Think of the style, the emotions that you've thought about for your Maria, and that suits her and the media and the brand ID. So think about all of those things, and therefore then think about the style and the emotions and the feeling of what you want to get out. And if you've gone through these kind of little white boxes, what's the purpose? Who am I targeting? What they are really like? Thinking back about your brand ID, think about your supporting secondary messages, checking out what you've done before, thinking about the styles and the location that suits your customer. Then I think the words and the picture stuff will often come, or at least you'll have enough gathering information that if you do hire some professionals to help you, they'll be able to easily imagine what would work better. So you're going to be a lot more creative. In a sense, if you've done all this boring stuff first, the creativity in marketing should firmly rest on a skeleton of thinking about your ID and your messages and your values, and then you'll come up with brilliant words and images and pictures, I'm sure. Okay, that's pretty much what I want to say on planning. I guess the thing to take out of that is do it your way, but make sure you cover the content. You don't have to use a specific piece of software or whatever, because you're different kinds of people with different ways of thinking. So get a style of thinking about the plan however you like, with sticky notes or a piece of project management software or whatever, but make sure you cover those boxes of content that I've talked about. Right, before we finish, I just want to quickly remind you of what the lessons were that we've covered before, and then I'll give you a 10th one. And I guess number one was good marketing is a process, and it's a process that has to start with customer empathy. Number two was don't spend money on marketing or hiring people like me or whatever before you've fixed your business basics. It won't help. Number three is simply get to know your customer. Don't assume you know how they will buy. Gather customer info. Number four is anybody can differentiate their business if they really put the effort and think about what's behind customers' motivations. So make your business stand out. Number five is that customers want value, not just price. And number six was you've got to be ready to talk about your business, and getting ready to talk about your business with your quick pitch or whatever will put you in really good state for thinking about everything else you do and all of your marketing. Number seven was develop the basic ABCs of marketing content before you think about specific big campaigns and major refits and doing something dramatic. Try and reuse what you've got already if you can. Number eight was, look, whatever you're doing, it's about having a brand ID and a core value that are clear and have a consistent style. And number nine, we covered last time, was think about marketing activities in terms of that 3 hits of awareness, creating interest, and converting to purchase. So that's what we've gone over before. I really want you to think about those things. But now, number 10. Marketing lesson number 10 is in some ways just a variant of marketing lesson number 1, and that is that marketing is an ongoing process. Look, you're a small business. You hear your own messages and your own thoughts, and you say your own quick pitch or whatever lots, but you are still not the major part of people's everyday lives of your customers. You're just someone they visit or use occasionally, probably. You're not Coca-Cola. You don't have a huge budget. They don't hear your advertising all the time. So it's important that the core value message gets repeated again and again and again. You need to make sure people hear and remember your messages, so you need to be a little bit consistent and a bit repetitive. Now that doesn't mean that you just keep repeating the same activities or the same ad in exactly the same way. You need to add some variety and bring some changes and maybe have some variants of your service for different people or different groups or different occasions. You know, think the different cans in that garage project example I showed you, how they were all somewhat different. But you've got to keep the core message, the core feeling and the basic value consistent, at least for a long while. You should only change your basic approach as a brand or a business when it's really, really important to do so, and it's really, really necessary. Ringing the changes in a dramatic way too often will lead to you being forgotten or misunderstood. The other thing is to do something small and simple every day. You know, yeah, great. That great big marketing activity that you did, or that major campaign may be really important in building your business long term, but don't underrate the things that are really small. Just changing the sign on your blackboard, updating some of your materials, you know, putting out a new kind of poster or whatever, doing one little small event and one day and then a promo another day, doing these lots of little simple things. That's the way you want to get some variety in it. It's not just one big event. Just try and keep thinking marketing. It's the lifeblood of your business. So every day, keep thinking of what's something else I can do to reinforce my impression and make sure that your Maria understands your value. And look, by the same token, don't expect instant success. You know, you can't just do one campaign and think, whoops, we're on the way forever. It can take a lot of time and a lot of different kinds of marketing. The key thing is to keep going and keep thinking about it. Okay, so if you take nothing else out of this, all the things that I've said, I want you to at least accept that imagination and empathy with your customers is the key characteristic of a good marketer. It is developing your understanding of your customers that will lead you to being creative about being with your marketing. If there's no other exercise or thing that I said, for goodness sake, remember your Maria or your Marcus. Look, I don't want to sound too kinky about this, but you should have a almost obsessive relationship with your version of your Maria or Marcus. You know, you carry them everywhere, and every time you're walking around your offices or looking at your marketing materials, a good marketer is thinking, what would Maria or Marcus think about it? It makes your marketing more focused, and if you can do that, you'll be much more creative about it. Well, that's the final in the 10 steps marketing process. I hope you've found this interesting, at least, and I hope that if you've done some of the exercises, it's given you some ideas. I do believe that the 10-step process and working through your marketing and your business in the way that I've suggested can help you be more creative and more effective about all the kinds of marketing you do, whether in your current business, a new business you're developing, or the next business you get into, whatever. So do try some of those exercises, give it a go. I hope you succeed in your businesses and your business efforts. So good luck and happy marketing. If you want to ask me some questions about the content in this, there is a place for questions in the website. As I say, this is a part-time freebie service that I'm doing, so I don't promise to be super fast in answering questions. And you know, you'll understand I don't give totally free consultancy all the time. But if you have professional matters or professional subjects you want to talk to me about marketing or marketing research development, then there's also on the website a contact email process to get hold of me. So with that, thank you for listening to all the videos. Once again, I hope they were helpful. Thanks.